Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyper Roll with Artark, and we are officially off of our Infiniteam kick for a little bit, and I actually have a question for you. Would you be at all interested in some live streams on the weekends? I think I could squeeze in a few hours starting at about noon Pacific time on Saturdays and Sundays. Leave a comment if that's something you're interested in, because I'm only gonna do it if people actually want to see it. Graphic, like, comment, subscribe, usual stuff. Now, today's build is a build I really think you should know because it's actually very, very strong and not often contested. If you see somebody else going for it, you're gonna knock one another out. But if you're left alone with it, yeah, it can dominate really well. Now, I can't say this one gave itself away in the augments because nothing I really wanted here. So I went ahead and grabbed preparation. Now, I had gotten a Sona and a 2-star Lulu out of the initial NPC round. I'm going to end up pulling that Sona so she can get more prepared, but let me jump to the actual fight and we'll talk some more. So I find Heart remains one of these little niche traits that oftentimes goes completely ignored in matches, but if you can get it rolling, it's very strong. Now, it works well with preparation because preparation is going to make everyone stronger, and of course the way Heart works is each time a Heart champion casts, the entire team is gaining AP damage. Last season, Heart had a natural companion with admin, and that was because Soraka was a Heart admin 4 cost who could easily carry the team. There is no real clear synergy that exists this season, but if you bring in supers, it can enhance Heart enough to make it win. Now, do not expect this build to jump you out to early leads. That's what Infiniteam is for. This is a much more late game focused build because you need to get to 4 or preferably 6 hearts before you really start seeing the spike that you need. Sona is going to be your key champion in this, and blue buff likely your most important item, with Hextech Gunblade being second because you want her to be healing both ways that she can heal, through when she does damage and when she does her heal. It's time for the second set of augments, and again, Second Wind is the best of the bad choices. Now, supers are not a great frontline. You're really hoping you can get them up to 3 stars because the more 3-star champs you have on a supers team, the more damage increase you're going to get through all your champions. And since we're using preparation, it's also important that everyone get prepared. We're going to start loading up our Sona items now that we got her up to 2 stars, but the key is going to be getting that blue buff, and we haven't seen any of it yet. And this is why I say this is a long play build. As soon as you get your supers in, you're getting 18% damage, and you're gaining additional AP each time your Heart champions cast, but it's not that much at 2. It starts getting better at 4, but at 2 you're not gaining that much, so you're just hoping you're able to win these early matches and stay out of the complete basement of the health charts. Stage 6 is when you're going to start to feel this come together because you'll have your 3 supers and 4 hearts. Also, make sure you're picking up any duplicate champion you can. Remember, 3 stars equals additional power, so it's important to just keep grabbing anyone you can when you see them. Now, of course, your bench is going to fill up, so at some point start to make a determination of which ones you have the most likely chance of 3-starring. Notice here, I've 2 away on Gangplank, 2 away on Lulu, and about to pick up a second 2-star Sona, so I sold everything else to focus more on that. It's time for our final augment, and it's a hero augment, and one of the nice things with this build is there are hero augments for just about every champion and at every level. You're not going to get stuck the way you are with some of the other builds, especially the Infiniteam at 3. At 3 here, you have the Sona ones, which are excellent. At 4, you have the Viego ones, which are excellent. And at 1, 2, you have Lulu's and Lee Sin augments, which are all really, really solid. We've gone ahead and put the blue buff on Sona. We want Viego to get prepared, so he is not going in this round so he can get some preparation. We might be sacrificing a little, but it should be worth it. This is one of the things that always bothers me with preparation, because if you don't have 2 of the champion, then you have to leave him on the bench, or at least you have to be willing to take the sacrifice and not leave them on the bench and not get your full benefit from them. So you kind of are going to accept a loss at that point, but we do now have 1 more to go for a 3-star Gangplank. With Gangplank up at 3 stars, that gives us 3% more damage, so we're getting 24% additional damage. And again, remember, each time they cast, more AP, so the attacks are getting pretty devastating, as you can see from the damage charts. Not in love with these items. I could grab Ox Force to just have that little tick of Ox Force, but it's just not worth it in this build. I grabbed the Redemption simply to replace it. Ionic Spark is an excellent item for Viego since he will be dancing into their backline. Then we're going to go ahead, reforge the item, and end up with something we could have gotten anyway, but it will work on Lulu. We're now also working on our gold 3-star Sona. There she is. Thank you, Gary. And one thing with this build, you will have room for 1 additional champ. In this case, I chose Rammus, but you just want 1 more thing in the front line to keep it strong. The last piece of our puzzle is going to be a Syndra, which we'll hopefully be able to find. Gary, are you out there listening to me? But we need to find that before the end. Notice at this point, we're strong enough with the amount of healing we're getting to withstand a couple of misfortune ults and come out on top of this fight. Since we were facing a bunch of misfortunes in various teams, I decided to spread out Lulu and Sona, as they are the ones really pouring out the damage. Now, I want you to see just how much power there is towards the end of this match. Look at Sona just clean house and lead us into the top 4. We have our penultimate item choice, and nothing really too thrilling in here. We can go with the Protector's Cowl just to help shore up the front line, but what's interesting is in the Anvil, because we can go with the Visage or the Manazane. The Manazane will be fantastic if we get a Syndra, but for now, we can put it on Viego. But once we find a Syndra, it's time to use our Magnetic Remover. Give that Manazane to her, because she can now fling in lots of units, so we can pick up 5 costs and load up our bench with them. I know I've said it in previous videos. If you have a Syndra on your team, make sure you have some legendary units on the bench that are worth throwing in. Watch how much impact that Nunu had just as a distraction to ultimately allow us to win. And with Manazane allowing Syndra to cast more often, she's also a heart. She's going to be increasing the power of the team. Thank you, Gary, for the 2 stars that we needed. Now check the competition. That is very close to an Animaniacs team, minus the 3rd Prankster. They're using a Leona instead to give them Aegis. I've talked about this before. If you're going to go Animaniacs, if you're going that build, go all the way. That stun is so key. This is the team we're facing, but we're not going to get stunned when we hit the training dummies. Again, Syndra's throwing in distractions, so Nunu's on the board, just taking up space. A second Nunu gets thrown in. Now we have 2 Nunus on the board, and Sona is so strong. She holds up through the Misfortune ult, and then with Nunu's help, distract and kill for the win in that round. We're right back against the same team. I've now added an Urgot to the bench for something more for Syndra to fling. Nunu is useful, but Urgot has a nasty stun that he can use, and you'll see once he's in, he is just, again, able to play distraction. But I can't stress enough how important those training dummies would be. They could have stunned us there, but instead we're able to get through it. And look, I don't know if a Gnar would have made that much difference, because with the amount of power on my team at this point, it's very hard to beat. If you can get Super's hearts uncontested, you're likely going to roll through other teams, because you'll be able to get the 3-star units, which means more power, which means more casting, which means more power, which means GG for everyone. Give this build a chance if you have a clear go of it. If not, back off, try something else. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.